Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, the best teeth in the game, and it's time we're back for another edition of Let's Agree, where I hop on the internet, I accept your well-established points of view and opinions, your very thoughtful takes and agreeable questions, and I respond to the best ones in this video, this agree video. Let's go. Danny Brown is a rapper. I have to admit, I saw this tweet before I started recording this video so that I actually took the time to research this topic before I came on camera sounding like an idiot and talking about stuff that I don't know about. And after the extensive, and I mean hours and hours upon hours of research that went into your tweet over here, I have to agree. Danny Brown is, in fact, a rap artist, and he's been so for quite some time. It just so happens I even reviewed some of his works in the past. I don't know why that didn't, sort of hit me right away when I read your tweet, but it's true, I did. I actually named his last full-length album my album of the year when it came out, which is actually pretty cool. So shout out to Danny Brown. The rapper. Paying money and driving out to see a big artist in person just for them to rap over their track and be low energy is lazy and annoying. With this, I have to agree. I feel like there are some artists out there who don't really put enough into their live performances, and they're just kind of rapping over their own tracks, not only with just the plain old regular instrumental they're hanging in the background with the DJ really doing nothing to enhance it, but also with their own vocal backing track and ad-libs and overdubs and everything already playing back there, and they're really only rapping over their track like maybe a third of the time. And what's even worse is at these performances, the crowd seems completely fine with it. I don't really know if I'm as disappointed in the artist as I am in the audience just being like, yeah, you know what? I'm cool with this. Because a lot of the time, artists are just kind of in a supply-demand situation, and they'll give the audience what they want as long as they'll take it. If the audience itself doesn't demand higher quality performances and better performances from the artists it goes out to see, then it's not going to get them. I love fruit. I think it's really tasty and fun, and I'm glad everyone has a favorite fruit. Guys, what are your favorite fruits? I like strawberries and watermelon, actually quite a few different kinds of melons, pineapple as well, green apples, blueberries, mangoes, bananas, lemons, peppers, and tomatoes I'm pretty sure are technically fruits, so those are awesome, and even cucumbers, which are secretly a part of the melon family. Music makes me happy, and if music I don't like makes other people happy, that's perfectly fine, and it doesn't affect me at all. You know, with this tweet, I agree. I agree that this is in fact how you feel, and I agree with this sentiment in general. I think if other people enjoy things that you don't like, it shouldn't really affect you, shouldn't bother you. Of course, you can always take issue with annoying, pushy, evangelical fans, or even just with the music that the fans like if you don't care for it yourself, but just people merely liking something you don't like, it's not really a big deal. I guess the closest that I identify with that mindset is that sometimes I hate to see stuff that I don't care for incentivized in such a way where it's going to become a prevailing trend and it's going to be everywhere in the next few years and you're not going to be able to get away from it. Kevin Abstract is beautiful. I agree. I think Kevin Abstract is beautiful. I think the other members of Brockhampton are beautiful as well, and I think that we are all in our own way beautiful. Well, no, there actually are some truly horrendous and ugly people on the inside who are destructive and hate everybody and should be completely avoided and are totally toxic. However, I think most people can be redeemed or change their minds or learn how to be better. So, I think most people are either beautiful or have the potential to be. So, yeah. I am going to thrive and flourish even if you give my favorite album a 4 out of 10. I agree. I think this is the attitude in general to have. Now, I'm not saying you can't critique my point of view, or you can't give me a counterpoint, or you can't argue another idea or whatever. I'm not saying that I can't be questioned, okay? Obviously, that's not what I think, that's not what I feel, but I think you should kind of go on about your day if you disagree with me on a review. I mean, there's no reason to be pissed. There's no reason for it to fucking piss you off and just, just wreck you emotionally. And there's no reason for you to enjoy something that you might have previously enjoyed any less, because while I may nitpick and I may tear some stuff apart as really not being as deep or as significant or as interesting as some people might think it is, or as prevailing trends may insinuate. And most importantly, not everything is going to resonate with me. I am not like an all-knowing music machine that definitively tells you whether or not something is good or bad. I'm sure that I have recommended to you a lot of artists that you love over the years, and that's probably why you take some of the things I say very seriously, but that's not to say that you can't independently enjoy whatever you enjoy at your own pace and on your own terms. Okay, I love you. Give yourself a hug. Thanks for reviewing Give Up by the Postal Service. I love that album. I have to agree, you do love that album. And I love that album too. I did love the shit out of that record in college, and reviewing it was kind of a blast, even if in a way listening to it did remind me of some of the cringy people that I knew back when I was in college. But still, having said that, great record, and part of my mindset going into this recent Classics Week was that I wanted to review a lot of 2000s stuff that was around when I guess I was a little bit younger, pre the needle drop, and again, while I was in college, because a lot of that stuff now is getting to the age, and this is probably a sign of me getting old as well, it's getting to the age where it's starting to become classic, and I'm not really all that excited about just like saying the same generic stuff over and over and over about countless records from the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s that have been kind of like, microwaved and reviewed and looked over and reissued again and again and again and again. More recent 2000s records that I don't think have yet been overanalyzed in that same way because they haven't quite hit that classic status yet, or they're just now kind of hitting that classic status because they're just turning 10 years old. They're just turning 15 years old. A lot of that music that was really fantastic in the 2000s and the late 90s and all that stuff. I mean, I was there. I kind of lived it. I remember enjoying it. I remember having friends who enjoyed a lot of it. I remember it sort of just being of the moment. And so in a way, it just kind of means a little bit more to me than something that I have loved from decades before I was born, but I really only sort of know it from the context that I exist in, not the context that it originally came out of. Fantano not only has the best teeth in the game, but also out of the game. I'm not sure if I agree on this one, but your tweet does pose an interesting point of view in that I up until this point, I haven't really considered my dental prospects outside of the game. It's only been within the game that I have felt like my teeth have amassed an incredible amount of superiority, in comparison with other teeth. But outside of the game, I'm not sure exactly what the competition is right now because I haven't really left the game in a while, guys. My mind has been in the game for a really long time, and I'm just not really sure what the teeth competition is looking like out there these days. Deep Cut's YouTube channel going on hiatus is a tragedy. Yeah, it pretty much sucks because the Deep Cut's YouTube channel does have some very lengthy and interesting videos about a myriad of artists out there with some pretty massive discographies, and the content typically does go over in detail a lot of great stuff. So, it does suck that we're not gonna see more of that content for a while, I guess, but you could always subscribe to Deep Cuts and sort of wait for the hiatus to be over. In Smash Ultimate, it's even easier to main low-tier characters like Pac-Man and Wii Fit than ever before. Generally, I agree, because I think the mechanics of the neutral in this new game, with shields being more unsafe, with rolling being more unsafe, with air dodges being more unsafe, it does give lower tier characters a bit more of an edge when it comes to edge guarding or punishing other high tier characters who might have more options and speed and attacks with more range and knockback. Because if you make one mistake or one directional air dodge off the ledge that you don't want to make, and there are a lot of characters that can force somebody who does maybe have subpar recovery into that situation, the moment you put yourself there, it's freaking over. And also there's that new parrying mechanic that people are just barely starting to get a grasp of, which could totally flip the way the game is played. Once top tier players have mastered it and they're using it on a regular basis, it'll definitely create situations where it'll be tougher for certain characters to spam certain attacks and moves over and over and over, because the moment you predict that shit, just be able to parry it and punish and respond. So yeah, Smash Ultimate, I think it's a pretty sick game, and loving playing it, having a lot of fun, and I hope anybody else in my audience that's playing it as well is having a good time too. 2019 will have music. I want to agree with this one, but I feel like the only reason I want to is because of, you know, my own selfish reasons and the needle drop business model. I mean, if in fact there was no music at all in 2019, the YouTube channel would totally die. I mean, with no music at all to review, I mean, what would I even do? I'd just have to delete the channel and close up shop. There'd be no reason to have it open anymore. Music would just be frickin' over. I've been kind of just knee deep in Classics Week at the moment. I don't even know if any music has been released so far this year. I mean, we're a few days into 2019, and has there been any music put out? I don't know. Maybe not. Cal Chuchesta plays an important part on the needle drop and adds a lot of character to the channel that isn't able to shine in a reviewing format otherwise. He is just as much a staple as the flannels, and not to mention, that boy can spit! Yeah, Cal Chuchesta, he is a pretty sweet bro, and I do like what he brings to the channel, even if sometimes I feel like he's out to lunch occasionally, and it becomes difficult to fit him into certain reviews, or sometimes he just doesn't really have anything to say or add to a musical conversation, or sometimes, you know, his schedule, he's just a little strapped for time or whatever, but it is always fun to know that Cal is there in the background in some capacity and can pop in at any moment. So always expect Cal. Cal is not going anywhere. Would love to hear your thoughts on Kanye's recent tweets about him having to be off medication in order to make his best music. In other words, do we value his mental stability and health, or the potential for another great album? Honestly, I don't think I know enough about Kanye's mental state or his medication regimen to really give an adequate answer here. And I don't really know enough about his personal life and how being on or off medication sort of affects things for him when it comes to just functioning day to day, interacting and being with his family, being diagnosed with a mental illness and being on medication, what medication you're taking, being off medication. It's such a specific and a personal and a case-by-case thing. I can't really make a full judgment call here, but assuming the scenario is that by all accounts and in all capacities, Kanye is worse without his medication. Worse. I guess except in the music or creativity department. I don't think I could personally advocate for Kanye being off medication, because if being off of it means that he's not healthy and he can't control himself and he or his loved ones are in danger, to me that's not worth a good album from Kanye. What's most important, in my opinion, and again, this is all theorizing, is that Kanye is alive and okay, stable. And I'm going to leave it at that. This has been another episode of Let's Agree. Thank you for being here and hanging out and agreeing with ya boy. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out, another Let's Argue video. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano. Agree forever.